Have you ever found yourself completely sucked into a mystery? One that goes way beyond just the whodunit and really, digs deep into big societal issues.
Oh, definitely. Those are the stories that stick with you, aren't they? The ones that make you think.
Exactly. And have you ever wondered how some books just explode, become these global phenomena, even shaping whole genres?
It's a special kind of magic, that connection a story makes.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that kind of book. Kvinden, Buret, which most people know as The Keeper of Lost Causes. It's the first novel in Jussi Adler-Olsen's Department Q series.
Right, and we've pulled together quite a bit for this summaries. Lots of analysis on the themes, character insights, how it was received, its impact, the works.
Our mission here is to really unpack this influential Danish crime novel. We want to explore why it struck such a chord worldwide and look at its legacy, especially for Nordic Noir.
By the end, you should have a really solid grasp of it all. The plot, the characters, the social commentary.
Yeah, the key insights, without having to read all the source material yourself. Hopefully, you'll have a few aha moments too. Let's get started.
Okay, so Kvinden Buret. It came out in 2007, the first book in the Department Q series. It basically weaves together the lives of two main people.
Right. There's Carl Merck, a detective who's kind of been sidelined into a cold case unit after, well, a pretty bad incident.
And then there's Buret Lingard. She's a well-known politician who just vanished, completely disappeared 5 years before the story really picks up.
And this isn't just a straightforward mystery, is it? It goes deep into things like captivity, psychological torment, the whole search for justice.
Absolutely. It's a profound look at trauma, resilience, but also, critically, the failures within the system. Law enforcement, society itself, it really questions trust.
And it clearly resonated. I mean, the numbers are staggering.
Oh, yeah. Over 25 million copies sold worldwide, translated into more than 40 languages. It picked up awards, too, like Japan's Sealed Room Award and Germany's Best Translated Mystery Novel.
And Adler-Olsen himself was voted favorite author of the Danes for, 3 years running?
From 2011 to 2013, yeah. Shows the impact it had right there in Denmark.
A big part of its power seems to be these core themes, these motifs it keeps exploring.
Definitely. Things like the abuse of power, this idea of vigilante justice, and historical injustices, too, especially how women have been treated.
And Adler-Olsen doesn't shy away from the messy parts, the moral complexities, Merck's own issues, Buret's absolutely terrifying ordeal.
He uses those personal stories to shine a light on bigger societal problems. Makes you think about guilt, redemption, and this cycle of violence that seems so hard to break.
So let's talk about the architect behind it all, Jussi Adler-Olsen.
Right. Born in Copenhagen, 1950. And what's really interesting is his background. It's incredibly diverse. Medicine, sociology, political science, even film studies.
You can really see that range in the writing, can't you?
Yeah.
The way he looks at institutions feels sociological, the plots have political savvy, and there's almost a cinematic feel sometimes.
Exactly. And before he went full-time author with Alpha Beta Set in 97, he worked in publishing and editing. So he understood storytelling from, both sides.
His style is known for being quite intricate, complex plots, really vivid character.
And morally complex characters, definitely. Like Carl Merck, he's so flawed but relatable. And Assad, his assistant, who's quite enigmatic.
And he really leans into themes like trauma, PTSD. It makes the characters feel grounded, very human, even when the situations are extreme.
His pacing is quite deliberate. Some might say slow, but it's purposeful. He focuses on the consequences of actions, the ripple effects, not just hitting plot points.
Which builds that loyal readership, right? You get invested in their internal struggles as much as the mystery itself.
Precisely. And while his very early work maybe didn't take off immediately, his reputation just grew and grew, leading to those massive sales figures. He's a major force in crime fiction today.
Okay, so to really get how he achieves that depth, we need to look at the story itself. How does it all unfold?
Well, it kicks off with Carl Merck. He's been moved, maybe dumped is a better word, into Department Q, this new cold case unit in the basement.
Understandably, he's pretty cynical about the whole thing, not exactly eager to dive into old files.
No, but he's sort of pushed into looking at the 5-year-old disappearance of Buret Lingard, the politician we mentioned. She vanished off a ferry, along with her brother, Uffe, who has disabilities.
And then the narrative shifts, and this is where it gets really intense. We experience Buret's side of things.
Right. You're plunged into her ordeal. She was held captive for 126 days in this dark pressure chamber. Adler-Olsen makes you feel the psychological torment, the physical suffering, the hunger, the fear of losing her mind.
Her only link to the world is this cold voice over a speaker and limited supplies shoved through a hatch.
Exactly. It highlights the isolation, the cruelty, the control, and throughout it all, her thoughts keep going back to her brother. Oof. That connection fuels her will to survive.
Meanwhile, back in the present day, Carl's digging through the old case files. He's hitting bureaucratic walls, trying to piece together Moretti's life, the politics, the personal stuff.
And you see Carl change, too. He starts confronting his own past trauma, his guilt, while getting more and more determined to find answers for Buret.
So the story builds suspense by cutting back and forth between Carl's investigation and Moret's struggle.
Yes, precisely. It ramps up the tension until their paths finally converge in this climax that explores survival, guilt, redemption. Huge themes.
Beyond just the gripping plot, though, the book is really asking some big questions.
Absolutely. The themes of abuse of power, injustice, they're right at the center. Carl himself is this disillusioned figure fighting against failures, both personal and systemic.
It's a pretty stark look at the darker side of human nature and how institutions can fail people.
And then there's that idea of vigilante justice. Characters taking things into their own hands because the system failed them.
Which really makes you think, doesn't it? Where is that line between justice and revenge? What happens when people cross it?
It forces you to grapple with those moral gray areas, and it connects to another theme: historical injustices, how the past keeps affecting the present.
You mentioned the island of Sproger earlier.
Yes, the investigation touches on the historical mistreatment of women there. It was a real place, an institution for women deemed morally weak. Using that history provides this chilling backdrop, underscoring the need for accountability for these long unpunished systemic abuses.
Wow, so it connects personal trauma to these larger historical wounds.
Exactly. And that ties into redemption, especially for Carl, and this idea of the cycle of violence, how past actions, past traumas drive present behavior, often creating this loop of harm.
There's a mention of characters linked to the gold 80s in Denmark, a time of, economic boom, but maybe also entitlement?
Right. It hints at this sense of impunity among certain privileged groups, a moral ambiguity, and Carl's line captures so much of this.
A bad conscience doesn't go away with time, Assad. On the contrary.
That really hits home, doesn't it? How the past haunts individuals and maybe society, too.
The characters themselves seem central to carrying these themes. Their development is key.
Oh, absolutely pivotal. You see Carl, Assad, Moret, they all transform and reveal their complexities as the story unfolds, their struggles, their reasons, their connections. It's all explored.
Karl starts off pretty beaten down, right? Grappling with the bureaucracy, his own past failures.
Definitely. He's cynical, frustrated. But through the investigation, he finds a renewed drive, a determination. The sarcasm is still there, maybe even sharper, but so is his resolve. It mirrors that theme of pushing back against the system.
And Assad is such an interesting counterpoint to him.
Isn't he? He brings this lightness, this warmth, starts off looking like just an assistant, maybe even just there to make coffee.
Oh.
But he quickly shows he's incredibly resourceful, observant. He's got this mysterious past, this charm that lets him connect with people in ways Carl just can't.
So he goes from sidekick to, well, essential partner.
Completely indispensable. And their dynamic really helps develop Carl's character, too. Shows a different side of him.
And then Moret, her story is just harrowing. But it's about resilience, too.
Immense resilience, facing unimaginable adversity in that chamber. She's forced to confront her past, her identity, while battling sheer despair. Her reflections, especially about Uffe, give her such emotional depth.
Shows her nurturing side, even in that hell.
Exactly. Her journey is this incredibly powerful exploration of survival, what keeps someone going, identity, hope against all odds.
So these arcs really embody the big themes. Carl's fight, the importance of connection through Assad, Moretti's sheer will to survive.
Nailed it. It all ties together beautifully.
And the book received a lot of praise, didn't it? Both in Denmark and elsewhere.
Considerable acclaim, yes. Critics loved the gripping story, the complex characters, how it tackled themes like isolation, professional frustration. You mentioned the Rotten Tomatoes score, the Reader Awards. It clearly struck a nerve.
It was also turned into a film, The Keeper of Lost Causes.
That's right, came out in 2013, and it was pretty successful commercially.
Although Adler-Olsen himself apparently had some reservations about fitting these dense books into a movie format.
Yeah, he's mentioned thinking they're maybe better suited for TV series, more time to explore the characters, the intricate plots, which, makes sense given the depth we've been talking about.
Still, the film got decent reviews, even if some felt it was like a pilot episode.
It did. And there were more films. The last one based on the books was Journal 64 in 2018.
Thinking about the bigger picture, Kvinden Buret is seen as a really significant piece of Nordic noir.
Oh, absolutely. It arrived as the genre was really taking off globally, and it perfectly encapsulates so many of its key features: the dark atmosphere, the social critique, the flawed protagonists, the bleak settings.
It kind of cemented that potential for Nordic noir to be both locally critical and globally appealing, didn't it?
It really did. It showed you could tell these deeply rooted, often uncomfortable Danish stories and have them resonate everywhere.
And it uses those police procedural elements. Well, the forensics, the investigation details.
Meticulously. But it also pushes the boundaries a bit. Like using that parallel narrative structure, Carl investigating outwards, Merritt surviving inwards, that adds a psychological depth you don't always get.
And it consistently engages with those social issues, that critical commentary. That's such a hallmark of the genre.
It is. And the film adaptation helped push that further, showcasing the whole Nordic noir aesthetic and themes to an even broader audience.
So its success likely spurred on more interest, more adaptations, more original shows in that vein.
Undoubtedly. It raises that interesting question, doesn't it? How can one book manage to both strengthen an existing tradition and also set a new standard for what comes next?
So wrapping this up, what's the key takeaway for you? This deep dive has shown Kvinden Buret is more than just a bestseller.
Definitely. It's a powerful piece of contemporary crime fiction. It shows how one story can weave together justice, trauma, societal critique, and human resilience through really compelling characters and plot.
Hopefully this has given you a shortcut to understanding its significance, its nuances, and its impact on the whole crime fiction scene.
We hope it gives you a fresh perspective on why this book stands out.
And to leave you with something to think about, what really strikes you about how Kvinden Buret uses the past, both that raw personal trauma and those broader historical injustices, to shed light on the present? And maybe what does that suggest about our ongoing collective search for accountability and ultimately for healing?